That's enough of these fun games for the day. Been doing some industrial purging, throwing stuff away that I've been saving that I was like, I'm going to use this someday for like 20 years. But it's coming along good. Like, this is where all the what little yard implements I have will be. I'll hang them up there at some point. But all of this, these are just machines and those are bits. But all of this down through here, you're seeing now is stuff I'm working with. And then down at the very end is bottles and cans of such things, such stuff. But this is all out here is all basically not basically, it's all the air compressor stuff with the exception of the air compressor itself. And I did find, so I was like kind of like amazed. These things, they're cheap if you buy them. They're called Jupiter Pneumatics. Now once another company bought them, they started making them much more expensive. But it's the same thing. So, but I wanted this little thing. I saw it. I'm like, man, that's amazing because it matches this one. But the size difference is pretty stark. I didn't expect it to be quite that small, but it's cool. I did find there's a third company that Teo is called. Joined with Parker. Parker bought Jupiter Pneumatics, and then they went into business with some other people to build these same things. I call him Parker. And then Parker went in business with Teo, which is a Japanese company, to make the same things again, just a little bit different. So I'm hoping I found one that's from Teo, and these at least look smaller. And I'm hoping for the whole thing to be smaller, but I'm kind of doubting it. This will definitely be shorter, I think. But I would like to have one just like these in between these two and have three of them. So there isn't such a ridiculous jump in size from that tiny little thing to these monsters or this monster. So I'm also seeking the hose ends I'm going to need, and I was going to order a bunch of cheapies and use them to set everything up because full flows cost 3 times as much, and I don't want to just buy a bunch I'm going to use and then the others I'm not going to use. So I'll just use the cheap ones, $6 a piece, to get everything set up and the hose cut to length and all that. And then I'll order the full flow versions, thereby saving myself a small fortune and having a bunch of extra hose ends I'll never do anything with. So 20 years from now, throw them away. Oh, there we go. I'm pretty happy with it all. It's like, you know, all this stuff is making it to where it needs to be. I mean, you people do the same thing. You up there are cans of paint that have like barely anything in the bottom, and you save them for some reason, even though they're like $5 per can. That's this is the way we're wired as humans, you know. You're like hoarders by nature. But you know, I've been doing some reconfiguring under here, and I'll be doing some more to get even more stuff. And there's a lot of stuff in there. I'll show you when I get around to the end, when I get close. You know, I got to put extra shelves in these, but I definitely got to put all those tools up because I've been using them to work on different things tomorrow. And then the person that owns the Volkswagen is back from Turkey, but I can't move forward until I ordered a piece for the AC. You just would not believe how much trouble this tiny little bracket cost me. It had a piece of plastic on it that something was bolted to, and over here some ripped off wires that went to whatever was on there. The only thing left was a little plastic clip that clipped on here. So, you know, I figured it had to be either for the climate control first as an ambient temp sensor, and it might be for the airbag sensor or something, but there are 2 airbag sensors in the side of the radiator support. So in order, like, man, I called Volkswagen. I spent hours and hours and hours online, and finally found it exactly what I need through AI on Google. So that worked out well. I mean, the dealer's telling me the wrong parts, and how I ended up ordering it was for a 2013 Volkswagen Jetta instead of a Volkswagen Beetle, because the Volkswagen Beetle, they say the one for the Volkswagen Beetle doesn't go on that little clip right there. And that little clip ends up, what clipped on there is just a bracket, and then maybe an air temp sensor snaps into it. But I mean, they got a microboard in them. You can't just the one that I have one here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. The one I have here came from Amazon, and they said it fits, but it's made for a Mercedes. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. I go hooking this thing up and it's the wrong one, and I pump way too much voltage back to the body control module or any other ridiculous, stupid things that can happen to you, then I got real problems. You know, the least of which would be the air conditioning system wouldn't work right, which is basically the best feature on this car at this point. So, that's been real fun, but I'm like, I will not be denied. I'll find the right stuff. I'm patient at such things. Spend hours and hours online. But anyway, you don't want to hear all that. So what we're going to do, tomorrow I'm going to put up all those tools. And then purge on these shelves and start getting rid of stuff. And then what I'll do ultimately is I'll cluster all this stuff around. This will get turned around. This is where the cylinder heads are off the Jettas, but they're also where my valve grinder goes. So what I'll do is cluster everything tight around here and leave access to those lathe parts, because the mill will be the last thing I work on. So right now, tomorrow, next day or so, next 2 days, I'll have this thing all cleared out. And it shouldn't need any parts, and if it does, there's another one out there. So, and it's a grinding machine. It's like, you kind of got to understand, if you haven't never used grinding machines, they're kind of like definitely industrial in nature. They just bulletproof. I mean, when you think of what they do, you think because of the way the table moves and the way the stone wears, and think that they wouldn't be accurate. They're ridiculously accurate. It's just kind of unbelievable. But when you think of fine machining like you would see on a crank or a camshaft, you wouldn't think that a grinder would do that. Yeah, a grinder will do that. It's amazing. You can even switch out the grit of the stone, and then all you got to do is take a diamond cutter and just keep cutting that stone nice and flat. So you wouldn't want to do that. You know, you grind them all rough first, because you're grinding away a bunch of material. You're going to grind away until, you know, you get within 50, 60 thousandths or 100 thousandths of where you want to be. And then you start doing it finer and finer. And then, of course, the last grinding where you got 10, 20, maybe 30 thousandths left to go, the stone needs to be absolutely perfect. And you just got to pay attention to them, because they don't really have what you would call a sophisticated measuring system built into them. They just kind of stop and go, stop, in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's amazing. I'll run it for you when I'm doing it. I'll take some video. And then I got them cardboard boxes over my stuff because I don't want something to beat down on them. I'm going to order some blackout shades. And nobody could really need to be seeing what's going on in here once I start doing that. The work for the cylinder head, because when you fire up lathes and mills and grinders and things like that, it's machine equipment, and people hear it and driving by and see it running, they're going to get nosy. You know, I've had people, when the machines are sitting outside, people have just stopped here and asked me, "What is that?" And I don't know what it is. Why even ask me? So then I had to explain to them, "Well, why do you have that?" I need it. And so I'm not the friendliest person to just stop by and ask stupid questions. But you see how it's all like messy, looks messy now. But I'll have this entire area reclaimed and it'll be neat and tidy. More shells there. And then it's all downhill. Like I could if I can get out here, if I don't get bothered by other stuff. And there are people causing me trouble with that now. But if I don't get bothered with other stuff, then I can get it all done this week.